shots. And you talked about how good Scottie has been at the nail, in the gaps, that kind of stuff. And this is a made shot from Anthony Edwards, but like, he identifies that Julius Randle is right there. He's not super scared of Julius Randle's gravity as a shooter. And he knows that, hey, the screen is forming on Ochai's left side. It's going to be tough for Yok to contain. Let me scoot over here and completely plug up a driving lane. And that's like, you can see him peek over at Julius. He knows what he's doing. And I know like Ant has been a lot more likely to shoot threes this year. And it's not exactly hard to get him to pull up into something like that. But Scottie's presence completely nullifies any driving action here. And that's a great thing, because this was identified as a 31-foot pull-up on NBA.com. I don't think it's 31, but that's a tough shot to hit. And Scottie's presence in this action, and knowing that he can, if the ball goes to Julius Randle, recover, that's something that he adds immediately to this defense. And it's like, it's easy peasy defense, and nobody else who's guarding these actions for the Raptors, like Ochai doesn't have that size to do that. RJ isn't going to be able to do that. Grady isn't going to be able to do that. He is basically the sole player on the roster who can provide this type of impact. Did you notice anything else on that play, Lewis?
Yeah, I mean, look at the corners. You have RJ Barrett and you have Grady Dick. They kind of need to defer driving. Like, this was something I wrote a lot about covering the Bucks last year, right? Writing for the team, is they were excellent at manipulating who the helper was as the corner defender. That's something smart defenses really think about, or smart offenses. You think about, who you're attacking on the ball. LeBron really revolutionized how that was covered by attacking. Okay, you come out, your guy is going to have to switch. I'll attack him. But offenses now, it's like, well, if I put this guy here and you sink and switch, then that guy's in the corner. And if we drive that way, well, he's going to have to be the helper. So Toronto is RJ and Grady as the helpers. They're not going to be effective at the rim. So Scottie has to do something. Like, you just can't get someone going to the rim. So terrific. What a win. He pulls up from 31. Obviously he makes it, right? Yep. But this is the thing about Toronto's defense. There's going to be sacrifices, and Scottie's the guy who can, tilt it to the positive.
Yeah. And for like podcast listeners, I will actually be more descriptive from here on forth. Sorry to exclude you a little bit to this point. My apologies. So the second play we're looking at, it's a pick and roll that started with Julius Randle and Rudy Gobert. Jakob Poeltl is obviously Gobert's check. Scottie is Randle's check. Scottie goes under that screen to the other side of Gobert. So he tries to, switch it back. Randle tries to switch it back over. Gobert tries to get into the lane. Scottie has to dive back. And Randle is going to trigger a handoff. And watch what Scottie is able to do here. Just completely jumps the handoff and steals the ball. That type of explosion, it's good. It's not super common for a player of his size. But the big thing here is the aggressiveness and the size. If that is Ochai jumping out on Nickeil Alexander-Walker, or if that is, let's say, like RJ Barrett, those guys probably can't throw as much size and physicality at him. But Scottie, he can dip and duck under this screen from Gobert. He and Jakob, even though they don't play this screen coverage very well, they're huge, so they gum up the play, right? And then when Randle options into something else, Scottie steps in, blocks off the passing lane, and then he just jumps the ball here, mauls the guy without fouling him. That's like, do you have any other takeaways from that? Because that's tremendous defense to me.
And look what he does before he jumps into McDaniels. He hits Randle. Right. Yeah. So that Randle, like, as a short roll outlet, would have been available, so the turnover didn't happen. That could have been a really deadly play, right? Considering, like you said, they didn't defend the initial Randle action so well. But like hitting a guy on the roll so that he's not available for the pass, so he floats out. All that stuff compounds and opens up the availability of a steal like that.
Yep. And just, great jump. Good defense all around from the Raptors. This one I wanted to show, it's a complete nothing burger. So for audio listeners, we're looking at Scottie Barnes. He's basically like the low man. He's guarding the corner. Ochai Agbaji is guarding Anthony Edwards at the point of attack, and Ant is about to drive him. The strong side corner is Grady Dick. And Julius Randle is in the corner as well. So Scottie ostensibly is not really involved in this play very much, but he does something that Pascal Siakam at his defensive prime did a lot, which he completely cheated his side because he's huge. So the play develops, and Scottie he gets the ball to the corner because Grady, digs in from the strong side corner. Grady gets out for a closeout, good closeout, contains the ball, and Scottie realizes that he has Jaden McDaniels in the corner here. He knows that with his size and with the coverage on ball, that's going to be very tough for Julius to skip the pass over. And since Ant exits the paint and goes out, we're looking at, okay, there's a driving lane here that Jakob can't contain really, because that leaves Rudy open for a lob. And if there's two things Scottie can do here, is if Jakob goes over to plug up the driving lane, Scottie cracks down on Rudy. But then that also leaves a couple passes open and leaves RJ as the weak side defender. Scottie's a smart guy. He knows he's a capable defender who can recover to a lot of places. What does he do? He cheats this and goes over to the complete other side. And why he does this is because he knows it's a short clock situation. He knows that they don't want to reverse the ball over here. And he knows that he won't pay a penalty for jumping over to the other side and completely plugging up the lane. That's not technically what you're supposed to do, is to completely jump over the other side of the lane. But this is a good way to throw bodies, to add extra pressure, to make things feel suffocating on defense. Louis, did you notice anything else going on in this play?
No. There was nothing to me that stood out elsewhere. Like you say, good defenders make those reads outside of what you're supposed to do.
Yep. Just basically a nothing burger, but nothing burger is where a lot of defense happens. It's a missed shot. It's not sexy. He's off the ball. But yeah, nothing, couch cushion change, nothing burgers. We have so much going on here. And this, I just wanted to include something where Scottie wasn't at his best, and to actually use this as a frame of reference of this is actually what the Raptors have had a lot of this year. And so Scottie is, again, the low man, the weak side corner. And there's a pick and roll between Ant Edwards and Rudy Gobert. Ochai goes under the pick. Jakob is trying to contain and try and hedge and recover. It's really tough to contain Ant Edwards with a head of steam. And
for podcast listeners, Jakob Poeltl is right now the furthest player away from Toronto's rim.
Exactly. And there was basically and I don't blame Jakob for this. So Ochai going under the screen tries to jump back and contain Ant, and he kind of he does a pretty good job of doing so. RJ is on Julius Randle in the strong side corner, so he's like, do I leave? Do I not? And RJ is a pretty passive off-ball defender, I would say. He doesn't get too many steals. He doesn't get too many blocks over the course of his career. He's usually trying to be a contain type of defender, try not to make mistakes rather than play make type of defender. And Scottie walks over. He's not getting into too much here. He just kind of lackadaisically walks over. He's not exactly sure if he's supposed to make the big jump over here because Ochai is kind of there. Ochai is kind of not on Anthony Edwards, but Scottie kind of gets stuck in no man's land, and he doesn't really provide a lot of pop as the rebounder, and then Rudy Gobert crashes in. So that's a bad play from Scottie, and I'm not trying to do this as low light watching. Every player has bad defensive plays. Everyone else on this roster has had many more than Scottie, to be quite honest with you. But the thing is, what happened there with Scottie, where a guy crashed the lane, the weak side, the low man wasn't very effective, and then an offensive rebounder crashed the glass and allowed the other team to score. That's what has happened a lot with the Raptors this season. And Scottie, we will see later, actually puts a stop to this sometime. Louis, any other remarks on this film?
Yeah, it's not low light watching. It's actually worthwhile to look at when the defense isn't doing what it's supposed to. And to me, that's on RJ more than anyone else. But you could put anyone in Scottie's position there. It doesn't change the outcome of the play. And there's so much of a burden on his shoulders that if anyone else is in Scottie's position, it needs to make the defense worse, right? He's the guy who has to lift everything around him, which is unfair, obviously, but that's sort of the way the team is built. So that's what it looks like when Scottie isn't unique on defense.
Yeah, a lot of what happens in this play is the Raptors, we saw it in the play before, Grady helped off the strong side corner, but a lot of the times the Raptors don't help off the strong side corner. So in this position, let's say like Anthony Edwards has a head of steam downhill. Grady and Scottie have to cover up the whole half of the court. Scottie would rotate all the way over. RJ would stay at home. Grady would X out to the corner, and Scottie would extend to above the break, and Jakob Poeltl would catch up into the back of the paint. Like, that's a possibility of how the Raptors might try to do this, but also we saw another play where Grady helped off the strong side corner, and it helped, and RJ didn't do that. So just we don't know what the coach said. Like, we don't know what Darko said according to certain matchups and that kind of stuff, right? Even though
Fair.
it was the same driver Ant and the same guy in the corner in both plays, there's a different response. Make of that what you will. This is a great example. Louis, I know you watched this beforehand, so I'm going to let this play, and you actually take the reins here if you're comfortable with that.
Okay. So right now we have the Wolves and Horns. The ball is way above the break. Both corners filled. Okay.
That's Horns.
Yeah, that's Horns. Okay, we enter to Randall. Mobo goes to cheat and just misses, right? So I actually remember this play from when I was at the game. So Mobo's behind the ball. The Raptors are now defending 4-on-3 because DiVincenzo is still at half court, and so his defender is above, just out of the play. Mobo's out of the play. So RJ, who is in the strong side corner, is sort of, now it's like emergency, right? Got to put out a fire somewhere. So he cheats sort of halfway in between his man in the strong side corner and the ball. And Scottie starts digging from the other elbow, the other like horns, right? Scottie, though, picks up the ball, stops the drive from Randall. RJ sees the ball go to his corner. Now he's pretty far away. And we have that X out from Mobo, who is behind the play. Really terrific way to get yourself involved. Like, when you are out of the play, you have to find a way to impact it in some way. And Mobo just blows it up. So now there's a drive from the corner from Nickeil Alexander-Walker. RJ picks it up, goes out to the other corner, missed three.
Yep. So the big thing here that I love, is that, again, Scottie is on Naz Reid. If this is Jakob Poeltl in Scottie's position, and Jakob Poeltl is a good defender, but he isn't going to explode into the lane to make Randall pick this up. If Randall gets this one-on-one against RJ Barrett, I actually think that's a bucket, like a really high percentage of the time. RJ Barrett, I've loved a lot of what he's done this year, but he is not like stop Randall with a head of steam level of defender. As you said,
it's also, you meet a guy 15 feet from the rim, it's way easier to stop them than when you meet a guy 6 feet from the rim.
Yes, exactly. And Mobo, again, great job. And also to this point is like RJ rotates over, and this is like a scram. This is a really sneaky little scram. It's like Nickeil drives, RJ contests, and Mobo takes Randall here, right? Like, that's an important switch. It's an under, and like Boucher in the weak side, that's a big contest coming your way. And then Shed coming down to corral this ball, like, that's just good defense. They did a really good job there, even though the Timberwolves got a pretty good shot. But the play got blown up because Mobo got overeager at the start, and the Raptors scrambled to get back into it. I think it was just like, hey, everyone tap yourselves on the back. We were in a tough position. We gave up a 4-on-3, and now we're back in the swing of things. Okay, everybody.
That's the type of play that you show as the coach the next day, to be like, look at these guys.
These are my guys, these guys. Yeah, exactly. So this one, we're looking at Ant Edwards. He has Chris Boucher in isolation, and Scottie, he just doubles. I love when the Raptors play aggressive. McDaniels over here, I believe, unless that's Nickeil. I'm pretty sure that's McDaniels. Very similar hairstyle, very similar frame, both headband boys. My apologies. So the ball goes out to him, and this is a bad job of McDaniels. He should be at the 3-point line here. This is kind of a problem, is being too passive away from actions. Like, he moves out, and he should be spacing out to the open part of the floor here. For audio listeners, McDaniels is spacing out like 8 feet behind the 3-point line. That helps nobody. You're not in a position to help anybody. Toronto. Yes, exactly. Scottie jumps the ball, gets the ball out of Ant's hands. It's clutch time. They're up by 2 in the fourth quarter. This happens a lot in clutch time, and Scottie doubles, Chris Boucher switches over, and look, the chain starts. The Raptors team defense. It was Scottie's guy. Grady bumps up to him. Scottie is now on Ant. Boucher was trying to get into rotation. Davion is going to have to extend to the corner here. Everybody's trying to find a man. You have to hustle. This is team defense. Chris comes down, and he's not really on anybody, but the shot is going up, so everybody's got to crash. And this is what I said about Scottie later when Rudy came into the lane and grabbed that offensive rebound. What Scottie does here is he initiated the double to get the ball out of Anthony Edwards' hands, a star guard. Then he cracks down on Gobert, boxes out, and ends up winning the basketball. This is size. This is aggressiveness. This is good defense. It's not like a huge play or anything like that. But did you notice anything else here, Lewis?
I was talking with Joe Wolfond during this game. We were sitting beside each other, media row, and he asked a question I love. He was like, "What is
We do
what
love
does
Joe.
this defense? He's the best. What does this defense look like if it's good? Right? Like, what is the path to being good? How does it look if it's good? And honestly, it looks like this. Right? It looks like this where Grady's not getting bullied. He's getting helped by by McDaniels not being in shooting
He has a
position,
positive defensive on-off now, by the way. Isn't that crazy?
That's
Grady
terrific. I mean, he's playing a lot with Davion.
With the big boys. Yep.
Yeah, and Jakob. It looks like this where Pirtle and Boucher commits almost a mistake by commission in that he's trying to recover into the play and he ends up going to the same place that Jakob is, but that's great. You're going to a guy in scramble, right? And they're helped by DiVincenzo, I think, is in the corner shooting. They're helped by the shot going up rather than like continuing to attack.
Short
rotation.
Clock situation too.
Yeah, short clock. And ultimately, it's Scottie who makes the play, right? That's what the defense looks like. The other guys are doing stuff. They're getting out. They're closing out. They're not getting beat. And Scottie's the one who makes the play. That's what it looks like when it's good.
Yeah. Also, I think there's something here. There's something here too, because the ball goes out, Scottie doubles. And like, does Scottie leave a little bit early? Sure. But again, the Wolves, like Ant is way off the line here. Ant, you probably want to see him shape up to right here. You want to see like JD go down here. You want to shift the floor, especially in this like, or even like Ant go to the corner and Rudy maybe puts a pin in on Scottie or something like that.
Yeah,
like, that would be
there.
In good interpretive play. But Scottie, like they're not being proactive, the Timberwolves. So Scottie cracks down, gets a rebound, size, aggressiveness, defense, man. They've won 2 in a row. They're world beaters. This play next stops a little bit early, starts a little bit late, but basically Grady gets a little bit like he gets pushed off by DiVincenzo. Scottie's check is Randall. Grady is on the floor. Scottie has to step up on Dante, and Grady is going to catch up back into the play, but he's starting way behind a Randall screen. Scottie steps out. Hero, help out your buddy, right? And what does this mean? This is Julius Randle getting a guy like Grady Dick on an empty side post up. Raptors fans, you have seen the Raptors attack this way with Scottie and Pascal, even OG so many times over the past however many years. How do you want to help this, right? The problem that the Raptors ran into most times when this play would happen is the ball goes to Randall, and let's pretend Randall is Scottie or Randall is Pascal or Randall is OG. The Raptors always wanted the low man to double because they found it easier for Scottie and Pascal and OG to dump off to like a dunker spot guy. They didn't have the requisite shooting on the floor to punish if the double came from the top. Scottie, he sees that Randall had his back to him. He knows that Randall is not the fastest passing processor. He jumps him. I love this. And Dante, again, spacing out in probably the wrong part of the floor. He just starts moving there, but Randall is trying to work his way through. Now, Jakob is super late. Jakob got back up by Rudy to like nobody's business. Jakob doesn't know where he is, and that's fine. Players make mistakes. Randall doesn't see that. RJ's job right now is to cover 2 guys because Davion didn't really crack down on Rudy either. What happens? Randall sees the corner. RJ is pointing at Gobert. Like, this is insane that Randall didn't see Gobert. RJ makes a good read here because he reads Randall's eyes and he jumps the corner pass. This is a good play. And it doesn't end up rewarding RJ, but like good thought, good job. And we have a drive to the rim and a missed dunk. And this play obviously was the play right before Grady grabbed the ball and went all the way down the court and threw the lob to RJ. That is film. We're done. We have talked about. I have a vein in my. I've been talking too much. Lewis, how you doing, man? Holy smokes!